Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager number 283D US19. This is a matte black powder-coated brass manual flush bolt. Okay, so this is a manual flush bolt. Just in the to describe or to dispel any confusion, matte black powder-coated brass manual flush bolt. What that means is it's made of brass and that it's black powder coated. So the base material is brass is what they're referring to. Some clients will say, I don't want brass, I want black. Yeah, indeed, they're just referring to the base material. So it's made of brass on the exterior portion. A very nice, clean, defect-free finish on this matte black powder coating. Very nice finish on that by Hager. Now, this is the 283D. The most common Hager flush bolt is certainly the 282D. That's the manual extension. The 283 is what we would call a corner style flush bolt because it fits in the corner of the door naturally. Where would you use each of the two? Well, the 282D is intended for use exclusively in metal doors, even though those are often used in wood doors. However, this bolt is intended for use in wood doors and used exclusively in wood doors. You wouldn't use this in a metal door. The reason is because the preparation of the wood door when it comes to a 282D, a manual extension, is not a simple, straightforward endeavor if you have to prep that door yourself or in the field or using common hand tools. Whereas a 283, being a corner style, really all you need to do is prep the edge of the door, in this fashion, and you'll be able to fit this flush bolt into the edge of the door without too much trouble. So a very simple and straightforward process for mortising this. And that's why you would use this in a wood door, because you can chisel, route, mortise the door for this sort of hardware. If you were to look at the template for the 282D, you'll notice that that's not simple and straightforward when it comes to drilling the hole for the extension rod. The downside of this type of bolt, you may need to consider a different style corner flush bolt, is because if you have an 8-foot door, a 9-foot door, or a door taller than basically 7 foot, it might be quite a challenge to reach up and activate this bolt by hand. So that's why you might use an automatic, or you may insist on a manual style. But this is a corner style intended for use on wood doors. We're going to go over the dimensional properties, the extended description as well, but first a visual tour. This is going to be 6 3/4 inch tall and 1 inch wide. Okay, coming back on the top of the door, or the bottom for that matter, about 2 7/16. This is going to include a piece of steel, wipe coat galvanized steel, that is to be used basically as a dust box that will mount, okay, like that, to clean off your installation. You don't want the particulate of the door encroaching into the space. If you had a fire-rated door, you would not want that white powder coming through the space if it's a mineral core style door. And yes, you could. There are instances when you would use a manual flush bolt, or at least an instance where you'd use a manual flush bolt on a fire-rated door. So that's what that will look like when it comes out of the box. Actually, this helps to illustrate even cleaner what your mortise prep needs to be. Obviously, this width, this length, this thickness, this width. So it's simple and straightforward. You're also going to get with this a strike plate. Okay, it's probably about 2 1/4 long. Indeed, about 15/16 wide. Indeed, it will come with a package of screws. These will be machine and wood combination style screws in a complementary finish. 832 flat undercut head Phillips drive. After that, you're going to get a template, and we're going to go over this on camera in a moment, or a technical drawing of the item. Yeah, indeed. Pretty simple and straightforward. So let's talk about how to go about going through the extended description and then the template for the item. So let's switch to the screen view now. Okay, so this is the extended description view of our 283D. First, let's take a look and see what the other available finishes are on this item. do this. Hager 283D. Okay, so US 10 satin bronze, US 10B oil rub bronze, US 15 satin nickel, US 15A antique nickel, US 19 matte black, US 26 polished chrome, US 26D satin chrome, US 3 polished brass, US 4 satin brass, US 5 antique brass, US 9 is a polished bronze. Now that you don't see often. US 9 polished bronze. Yeah, you don't see that finish too often. It's a personal favorite of mine. I like polished bronze. So now, as we scroll down, it's a manual flush bolt, US 19 or matte black finish. The dimensional properties we've just gone over, along with the description of the screws. They indicate that there are 2 different length screws in the package. That's not uncommon to see those. It's just that this flush bolt does not include the 1.5-inch longer screws that you will likely see in a for the strike. This just has, it actually has 7 screws. Let's see here now. Yeah, it has the appropriate 3/4-inch long screws. 8 of the short screws is what it has. And we'll talk about why you would use 8 screws in a moment. It is rated for use on fire doors up to 4 foot by 10 foot, non-handed. Bolt head rods are adjustable. That's true. You can adjust the where the bolt head sits within the body. Now, template and product catalog. Let's look at product catalog first. This is going to show you all of the related products to this 283D, such as the dust-proof strike, which you'll see very commonly in installations where you have a flush bolt and a finished floor. It's very typical to see that in a shopping mall, or even certainly a residential application as well, into the floor. The 281 is a residential style bolt. That's the ubiquitous 282D, the extension style, the manual extension. Our 283, our corner style. Our 291 is an automatic set that you would use when you want to have the inactive door unlatched every time the active door opens. It might be something that may be the application that you require. We're also going to have, which are the corner style, the 291. The 292 would be the manual extension style. Again, metal doors, wood doors. That corner style is for a wood door. Constant latching. So this style of bolt, again, metal door application, and then they have the 294, which is the wood door style. What happens here is the bottom bolt will always be engaged when the door is closed. The top bolt is auto-latched. So every time the door closes, the inactive door closes, the door will be latched. It will then be bolted to the floor when the active door closes. This little circular shape here is a spring-loaded plunger that will retract the bolt to get the inactive door disengaged from the frame. This will disengage every time you open the active door. Top bolt only, automatic bolt. This will be a top bolt only with a fire bolt at the bottom. So if you have an application that you do not have a prep into the floor, meaning you specifically are not permitted to pierce into the floor with a strike to accommodate a bolt, you can put a top automatic bolt only with a fire bolt down below. That's a intumescent sort of concept where when the door hits a particular the opening hits a particular temperature, that intumescent will fire and allow a bolt to lock into the door opposite. 295, same application for a wood door type. The 296 are neat. They're small, petite little bolts that are used generally in residential applications, and I see them, but they allow an inactive door to be unlatched every time the active door is open. So we've covered that topic. But what's neat about these is you can, the preparation, the mortise for these is a bit less complex in terms of what you have to do to the door. You have a rectangular prep here, a rectangular prep here, and you're just then drilling a round hole basically to accommodate these components. Where this would be appropriate, in my opinion, very appropriate in a master bedroom where you have a pair of doors and you want the inactive door to be easily moved when the active door is opened. So you start your day, open up the active door, the inactive door is automatically unlatched, and you can swing both doors open until evening comes, time to close the inactive, and then the active behind it, and both doors are latched. Very convenient way to simply eliminate the step of unbolting a manual flush bolt on the inactive door. Other items here, a carry bar, that's a different conversation altogether. That's used in other applications, a coordinator, and I will leave the rest of this page for you to discover. Now let's move to the template. Okay, so this is different than the document that is included, but I would say that it is identical in terms of the content that it delivers. Very strange that I don't see a date on this document. Nor is there a date on the paperwork included with the bolt. But nonetheless, it's very, this template is going to serve as installation instructions as well. Basically, what you need to do is to create your 6 3/4 by 1 by 1.5 deep prep for the body. So let me back up a little bit. I did say that too quickly and incorrectly. Let's start over. When you're going to prep this door, you're going to do basically 3 preparations. You're going to create a 6-inch long, 1.5 deep, 1 inch wide prep in the edge of the door. You're then going to go from that 6-inch down to 6 13/16, a 1/8 inch deep, 1 inch wide route right here. You'll do the same preparation, the same type of concept, except you're going to do it 1 inch long and 3/32 deep, and 1 1/32 of an inch wide. Then you're going to have the entire preparation required to fit your bolt in. Now, what they're really not showing you here is why you need 8 screws. Well, it'll become pretty obvious. These 2 holes here will require screws to attach it. The 2 holes up here are occupied with screws holding the rest of the contraption on. There are 2 holes on each face, and this is where you will drill through the face of the door into the tapped hole that's here to simply hold the skin or the veneer, the plywood basically is what the door is made of, tight down to the face of the hardware itself, because over time what will happen is this portion here has a tendency to curl away. Running that screw through the face of the veneer here into the tapped hole here is what will serve to hold that together. Okay, you might consider using just 1 screw. And generally 1 is pretty common. I wouldn't necessarily consider the requirement of using 2 screws. I might just use 1. Is what I would certainly end up doing. Prepping for the strike is pretty simple and straightforward. Your width, your length, your thickness, 3/32 of an inch. And that gives you everything you need to know about how to prep this. So it's easy for a plunge router in a wood door to be able to do this. I would generally use 2 routers for doing this type of prep because the plunge router is a much heavier tool, and I like to use the lightest router as possible when I'm doing the smallest, thinnest sort of preparations. I like to have more control over the tool. I like to be able to feel the feedback of the tool in my hands, whereas with a plunge router, you're just removing material, which is certainly what you'd use to do this body. Okay, so below this video here is a link to the manufacturer's page, and from that link, review not only all of the Hager products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. The website link is here. All of our Hager products are here by means of this horizontal navigation here. The product catalog is here, and other encyclopedic documents are here. such as, and here as well, the Hager keying service manual. Hager has its own key system, and if you are interested in more information about that, there you go. There are 3 keyways in their small multiplex system. Unique approach to the concept of keying, where you have keys that would be you might consider an interchangeable core, a small format core, but they feature both a tip stop and a shoulder stop. Anyway, also is the ADA Standards for Accessible Design Guide. Why would we have that on the Hager page? Well, Hager makes weather stripping, is the bottom line. And thresholds, automatic door bottoms, all are subject to the requirements of the ADA federal law, in fact. Other encyclopedic documents are here, and this is the page, the repository where we keep those. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, the name Hager has been synonymous with commercial builders hardware, certainly hinges, their namesake Hager hinge, since the mid-19th century, absolutely. I was lucky enough to sit in an advanced door and hardware detailing class with the head specification, the head of the specification department for Hager, an incredibly talented and very smart person. And I asked him, what's it like working for a company that's 170 years old? He says, it's great, I love it. So just interesting, long lineage of family in the Hager family of door hardware. This is an example of a good quality piece of hardware from Hager. They have a very loyal client base. I experience that fairly routinely. A client will call and ask for a Hager product and will contact the factory to find out that the lead time, because it's made to order, is, whatever, 2 or 3 weeks, and giving the client all of their options to let them know in terms of lead time when that sometimes doesn't fit the schedule, which is very often the case. Interestingly, with Hager products, clients will be far more agreeable to waiting the lead time. And it's because they say they want that Hager product. So a loyalty in that regard, which is not imagined. It's a real thing that I experience. So Hager's doing something right, certainly, in that department. If you have any questions on the Hager 283D in a US19 finish or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.